What's up, guys? It's Breakout Bag Lunch, and today I want to present to you the first weekly review. This is a new format that I'm going to test out and see how it goes. I was posting recap videos on a daily basis, but I'm going to see how the weekly recap goes and go from there. I have some other ideas as well, but maybe we'll talk about those later. This week overall was kind of mid. We are in the profit a little over $1,000. I think last week when I was trading on this Apex account, I was a little bit under 50 grand, but now I'm at $51,030.65. I did get close to getting a payout. My account balance was actually almost at $53,000, but unfortunately, with some bad trading days, I did get back some of those profits. And because of the red days that I had yesterday and today, I'm going to make some adjustments, which we'll also talk about in a moment. I did blow the Top Step account, but it's for kind of a silly reason. So what I didn't realize was that when you make a payout request on Top Step, your MLL maximum loss limit gets reset to 0. So I made a payout request for $289. That left me with $280, a little under $300 in my account. But what I didn't realize was that was my drawdown. I made that request last Wednesday. The following day on Thursday, I had a red day, and then I had like $100 drawdown on a trade last Friday, and to my surprise, that drawdown caused me to lose the account. So the loss of that account wasn't due to over trading or really any bad trading habits. It was just me not reading the rules completely. And with that in mind, I'm going to change my approach. I'm also going to make a separate video about the Top Step account that I lost that will be released next week. So look out for that. As you can see, we are not on Top Step X. We are on Trade-Evate, and that's because I've been trading on Apex mainly. Now, I did start a new combine on Top Step. And that combine's going okay right now. We're in around $1,000 in profit. I was really close to passing that evaluation on Wednesday. Wednesday was a great day for me. I was at like $52,500. I was also close to passing an Apex eval, but yeah, we had some nasty red days yesterday and today, which caused me to lose those. Well, I actually blew the Apex evals, but the Top Step eval is still going. It's just not close to profit just yet. Profit target anyway. Now, if you don't know, Apex changed their rules on Monday. And now, basically the structure of the Apex account is a lot different. The main, what sticks out to me is the 6 max. It's like 6 max. You can get a maximum of 5 or 6 payouts, and after that, your performance account is closed. Now, the performance account I have is a legacy one that's still under the old rules. I'm hoping to keep this one. Right now we have $1,000 in drawdown left, and yeah, I'm just going to make some adjustments here to make sure I keep this account. And overall, I wouldn't say this week was horrible, but it wasn't the best either. And hopefully with some adjustments next week will be better. I've also been using ES instead of the micro contracts, which we'll talk about in a moment. So my profit and loss swings have been a little bit greater. Okay, with that all out of the way, let's review the trades for the week. I wanted to just review 3 trading sessions, and after I review those 3 trading sessions, I'm going to give you a retrospective based on what went well and what I can improve on. Oh, I should also mention that I've been using VWAP waves in addition to Orb and VWAP and Fib. Just this is something I'm experimenting with and seeing how I like. I'm going to do some back testing with the VWAP waves. I'll probably also release a video on this as well. Alright, my apologies everybody. I was trying to show all the trades on Tradeovate, but apparently you can only see the trades that you've executed on the trading day, and the previous trades aren't available to see directly on the chart. So we're just going to do this review on Top Step X as usual. I think Top Step X looks better in my opinion anyway. The trades that I took on Top Step X and Tradeovate Apex are nearly identical, so you won't be missing out on anything. We're going to review the trades from Wednesday, Thursday, and today. Now, I will mention that the VWAP bands are missing, and that's not ideal, but I'll do my best to explain my thought process. All right, Wednesday was a very beautiful long. If you look at the higher time frame here, you can see that we've been in a bit of a downtrend, but we have had some spikes to the upside. Overall, I wouldn't say this downtrend is super strong, at least not at the moment, but yeah, overall trend seems to be down, but there's also a lot of opportunities to get long, and that's what I did on Wednesday. On the 4th, it was this beautiful long opportunity. Now, in the beginning of this session on the 4th, we did have a move down. However, I wasn't looking to get short here because this was a bounce at VWAP, and then we had a bullish reaction at VWAP. If you notice the 1 minute candles, we had a move below VWAP, but then this big green candle, if you take a closer look, it has a high and a close that's above the previous several candles, the previous 4 candles or so. So this was a strong signal to get into a long. It was a bit of a risky trade, but I did take this long on the Apex accounts, and that ended up being like a beautiful trade. It was like $1,000 in profit, but that wasn't the only opportunity to get long, because here was a second opportunity, and this one was a bit less clear because this pullback wasn't very deep. It was definitely more of a shallow one. You can't see the bands, but essentially when you have a pullback and you have a strong trend, it's sometimes better to look for a pullback into the 1 standard deviation band, which is where this pullback is, rather than a pullback all the way to VWAP. Although you can do that too, and I trade typically higher probability, but the pullback to a VWAP band is also a good trade. So I took a long entry at 68.63.50. This was a great entry and a very good exit too. I exited near the top. My target was a little bit above this previous high, which we got. So Wednesday was looking pretty solid. I made this $800 profit on this long, and I had great profits on the top step. Not top step. I had great profits on the Apex account as well. But then we get into Thursday and Friday, and here's where things start to look a little ugly. All right, on Thursday, I was pretty much expecting a downtrend to continue. After we had that bullish session on Wednesday, we continued this downtrend in this move below VWAP. My idea was great looking in retrospect, but the execution wasn't exactly the best. So here I was looking for shorts, and we had this move above the opening range, actually a really strong bullish movement. But notice how we had a rejection of VWAP here. I'm pretty sure that on the Apex account I shorted here. I was looking for a move all the way back down to the low of the opening range, which we didn't get. So I got stopped out here. And once we had another move above VWAP, I was thinking, well, maybe this is a change in the trend. Maybe we'll actually end up being bullish for the day. I ended up getting in along here at just a bit below VWAP, and now that I'm looking at it, this was a little bit above the 50%, 61.8% area on the Fibonacci. But since this area was just a bit below VWAP, I felt confident that I had a good entry for a long, but it didn't quite work out as I expected. Thursday was a pretty violent red day, at least at first. So my initial idea and bias of red day was correct. In this case, I changed my bias too quickly, and that caused me to lose out. But taking another look back, Thursday really shouldn't have been a red day because we had a move below the 5-minute opening range later on in the session, a move back up to around a 50% retracement of this downward move, and then a continuation down. I took this trade in a paper trading account, and I was up like $2,000 just from one ES contract. I think I changed my bias too quickly in this case, because just because we have a move above VWAP doesn't necessarily mean that we're in a bullish environment. I probably should have waited for a retest or a stronger retracement down to see if we had a bullish reaction. Also, if you look here, we kind of made a head and shoulders pattern. I don't typically like to use those types of chart patterns, but this is almost a textbook example. And we made a head and shoulders pattern with these two highs, relative highs here. So I probably should have kept trading this day on this account and taken this short here at 10.54. That would have been a great trade because at this point we would have had a bearish move below the 5-minute opening range, a retest to Fib, and we had two bearish retests of VWAP. And then today was just not a great day for trading or looking for big directional moves. I would say the execution wasn't terrible, but I probably held on to losing trades for too long and I didn't get in at quite the right prices. Today, my bias was still bearish, especially after the 8:30 news that we got. That was a big miss on the jobs numbers. I think there were like 85,000 or 90,000 jobs lost or in the month of February. The market had a very strong bearish reaction to that very weak jobs report, as you can see by this huge red 830 candle. And because of all that, my bias of the day was bearish. Although I did note that if you go back to the higher time frame chart, 1 hour chart, you can see that we made this move below this 6,760 level on the 5th yesterday, and we had a huge spike above it. So that was something to watch out for. You typically don't want to take a bearish trade when there's a level of support near the area where you're trading. And then similarly, you don't want to take a long when there's an area of resistance near the area where you're trading. The trading day is not over yet, but it looks like we're going to get another bounce. How long this bounce will last, or if this bounce will be the beginning of a new trend, we can't say for sure, but what I can say is that I had a red day today. Now, we did have this move below the 5-minute opening range, but like I discussed, we had an area of support near here, so I was a little cautious in terms of getting into a short entry. I did take a short here at or near VWAP, I should say, and that was working okay at first. Since my bias was bearish, my target was the low of day, so 67,015.25, or maybe even a bit below that, which we didn't get. We had a strong move up from here. Then I tried the shorts again. VWAP looks a bit different on this chart than it does on Trade of 8, but okay. Tried shorting at this spike here. This spike is where I have VWAP on Think or Swim and Trade of 8. I'm not sure why the spike is VWAP is so low here. Again, this trade was working well at first, but then we had to move up, and because of that, I got liquidated. Or I should say I liquidated my position. I guess, yeah, VWAP was around here. I was trying to take a short at this fib level, didn't work, and then I tried taking a short here, which is where I had VWAP and set on Trade of 8, and that didn't work either. After those two losing trades, I was done for. Alright, now that I've reviewed the trades, let's do a bit of a retrospective. I had this part of the video recorded, but for some reason the audio didn't record as well. I'm just going to do it again, and that's okay. I went well, I would say, was sticking to the trading plan. I feel like I did a pretty good job of just making sure I stuck with the type of trades that I usually stick with. VWAP, fib, orb. I'm experimenting a little bit with the VWAP wave system, and so I would say overall, sticking to the trading plan and trading system has been going well. The VWAP wave system seems worth exploring. It seems pretty promising. I am going to do some back testing and some charting based on this indicator, and I'm going to release a separate video on that. I'm not sure when that'll come out, but just keep your eyes peeled for a VWAP wave video once I've done my due diligence on it. And then another thing that worked out is taking fewer trades a day. This is something I discussed in my video on how to not blow accounts, and I feel like in terms of this advice, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I've taken at most 2 trades on my accounts, and on Monday I didn't take any trades. So there you go. Okay, what didn't go well is giving up profits. We had good days on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we gave up a lot of profits on Thursday and Friday, which isn't ideal. Some of that can't be prevented because of the state of the market, but a lot is in my control. And that brings me to things that I need to do differently and things that I'll do differently next trading session. For this section, I really like to focus on not just ways to improve, but really specific steps I'm going to take in the next trading sessions in order to increase profits, or I should say become a better trader. And here I wrote be careful with entries and exits, and to do so I want to stick with OCO orders only, bracket orders only on Tradevate. And in general, I was getting a little careless because what I was doing was exiting and entering trades manually on Tradevate just based on the bracket order signal or trades that the OCO order was taking on TopStep X. But I'm just going to use the automatic bracket orders on Tradevate and TopStep X because there were a couple of cases when I had the trade exited properly on TopStep X, but on Tradevate I let them run a little too long. So OCO orders only on Tradevate. Size down is my next action item, and what that means is that I'm just going to trade with 3 micros until I can recoup some of the lost profits. I think that once I get back to around the 52,000 or 52,500 area on my performance account on Apex, then I will size back up to a mini contract. And I'm doing this just to make sure that I remain consistent and don't blow the account because I already gave back a ton of profits this week. Practice view up wave system. This is something I mentioned earlier. To do that, I'm going to be back testing 5 trading sessions with this indicator to see how I would use it. Like I also mentioned, I'm going to release a video based on the view up wave system and my back test results. And another thing I need to do is a written analysis after every trading session. I kind of got lazy in this aspect because I wasn't uploading videos every trading session. But even though I'm not doing that, I still need to be detailed and just make sure I'm documenting my trading process on a daily basis. That way it's easier for me to present this material to you every week, and it's also easier for me to look back and think what went well and what didn't go well during each trading session. And that's it. If you have any comments or suggestions or any feedback, please let me know in the comment section. If you like this format, also let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But if not, this brings me to the end of the video. I hope you had a great trading day today, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye now.